Okay, part two of the ATF bullshit, right? So, going over the original story, uh, so I was at this not a party. We went to somebody's house, and it was at a trailer park, if you will. And the ATF agent, I was already sitting at the table talking. The guy came over and da 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 da. We got to chit chatting, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm a retired ATF agent," and da 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 da. We got talking about uh, the Branch Davidian compound and all that shit. And he's the one that showed me the picture that was folded up in his billfold of the little kid skull in his hand with his rifle, and he was so proud of it. And then when I stood up, I readjusted my belt and readjusted my t-shirt, and he saw that I was armed. And you would have thought a retired ATF agent running his mouth about being proud that he killed kids, and actually posed with a picture of a skull in his hand, would have been armed. But he realized real quick he needed to go. He had something else he had to do. And I was like, oh, okay, no problem, cool, because he knew I was pissed. But I was like, nice truck, by the way. I was like, he's like, yeah. He said a couple of months before I retired, I got divorced, and I'm traveling around the country, da 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 da. I said, oh, that's great. I said, those pull behind trailers, they're not really very defensive. Maybe you should be on the outskirts of it, not in the middle of everybody. And maybe you shouldn't tell people you're proud that you killed children as an ATF agent. Just a pointer. Start carrying a gun and keep your mouth shut. A few days later, I was in the general area because I had to go run an errand. And I stopped by the trailer park just to see if the guy was still there. And of course, his red bright Ford, 250, whatever, brand new fucking truck, still had paper plates on it, and his travel trailer that he bought, he was gone. Word got out pretty quick who the fuck he was, and he was so proud that he killed innocent children. And word had spread at that point. And went up to the lady. I'm like, hey, Bob Muckenfutch over here with the red truck that I was looking at. Where did he move to a different, lot or something? I needed to talk to him. He's like, no, he packed up his gear a couple of days ago, and he moved out. But it shows in the log books he prepaid for 2 months. He's still got a month and a couple of weeks on the lease, and when he comes back. And I said, oh, don't worry about it. He won't ever come back. But another war story, long before then, right? You can order cannons and shit online. It's 100% legal to buy a damn cannon. No background checks, no serial numbers, no nothing. And I was watching a YouTube video about a golf ball cannon. And my father really loves golf. And he paid for lessons. I'm shitty at golf. I have zero sports ability, natural talent whatsoever. I had the size for football and basketball, but no fucking athletic talent whatsoever. Didn't really give a shit. But I saw this mortar, like a World War II mortar, and you put the golf ball in, and it's milled out, and you put the black powder in, and you put the golf ball in, or you can just make a sound cannon and not shoot the golf ball. And what I was using was I'd take the fuse out of an M80 and put in the hole and light it. Well, it burned too fast, so I had to go to the store to buy black powder, and it comes in a little tin. Not very big, but they're 1 pound tins of black powder. And the guy says, where's your driver's license? I'm like, I'm not buying a gun. He's like, no, we have to record all your information when you buy black powder. So I thought, fuck, might as well go ahead and just buy the two more on the shelf, all three of them. And so he writes down three 1 pound cans, black powder, da da da. Writes down my address and my driver's license number and my name, and you have to sign it off to the side and date it and everything. And didn't think anything of it. We've been reloading shotgun shells for fucking years, right? Okay, you want to track people that are buying powder, who gives a fuck? Never gave it a second thought. Then I started looking around at, well, hell, where do you buy cannon fuse? So like an idiot, I go online and start tapping, because they didn't have any at the store. They didn't sell fuses at the store. And so I go online, and I didn't really pay much detail, but it said slow burning cannon fuse. And it was the smallest diameter that you could get. 3/16 sounds big, but I have some underneath my bed. But I thought I was buying 20 feet. And increments of 20 or something, and it said buy one get one free. Well, come to find out, it's a 200-foot coil of cannon fuse, and if you buy one you get one free. So fuck it, I thought I was getting 40 feet. Come to find out, I've got 400 feet of slow burning cannon fuse. Well, I called the place because I'm like, I took a screenshot of it, and I called and I said, where's my order at? Oh, it shows it's been delivered. And I was like, it hadn't been delivered yet. A couple of days go by, a week go by. I'm figuring, okay, it's on the UPS truck somewhere. Who gives a shit? I get a call from the ATF field office. And the guy's like, well, Mr. Walker, it shows here that you're buying X amount of feet of slow burning cannon fuse. And I said, yeah. So, is it legal? Yeah, it's legal. And I said, what's the hang up here? He's like, well, it's at my office. And I said, why wasn't it delivered to my house? Well, we intercepted the shipment because it was flagged in our system as suspicious. And I said, why the hell is it so suspicious? And he says, well, you bought the cannon online, and then you bought the 3 pounds of black powder, and now you're buying 400 feet or whatever of slow burning cannon fuse. Why in the hell would you need 400 feet? He said, I didn't know I was buying 400 feet. I said, all you need is enough to buy like an inch or so to get out of the way of the cannon. And I said, how the hell did you know that I bought a cannon online? And more importantly, how the hell did you know that I bought 3 pounds of black powder? He's like, well, you're currently under investigation, so we know everything that's going on. I said, so I bought the cannon, I bought the fuse, I bought the black powder. I want the shit brought to my fucking house. I'm done answering questions. Or I want my money back. Either or. Well, I think less than an hour later, somebody knocks on the door and gets in their car and leaves. And I go out there and there's my box with the ATF sticker on it that it's been opened by Agent Harold Muckenfutch, and here's your order. And sure enough, there's 2 sleeves of black powder. Fast forward to years later, after I was arrested fighting for gun rights in Texas politically, my mother had decided that one of the guns that I had was not in my name, and that's the other side of the family started raising hell. And whose gun was it really? I had taken guns from a guy. I took the guns to see what they were worth. I then sold my guns and some of his guns, and paid him in cash what the gun that I kept was what they were willing to pay for it. And everybody was in agreement, no problem, right? Well, after my arrest, when I started getting into the political stuff, they noticed I was carrying a gun that so-and-so had bought for so-and-so and, didn't really like that. So I went to go buy the gun that I currently have now. And by this time, I had already been arrested and charged and everything, convicted of failure to ID and public trespass on state property. One of the issues was, what had happened was, the judge ordered for them to return all my property. And of course, that was the pack of cigarettes, the lighter, the knife that they said it was too dangerous for me to possess, and my blue gun, and my Texas CHL, right? Concealed handgun license at the time. And of course, they didn't abide by any of that shit. I didn't get any of my property back. Only what I was allowed to carry out of the jail that they decided wasn't too dangerous. But by doing so, I had ordered a CHL from another state, and that had reciprocity with Texas, since Texas wanted to play their fucking games. Because what was that guy's fucking name? Attorney General Ken Paxton? I think he was the one at the time. I'm not choosing sides. I'm like, funny, who's writing your paycheck, And that turned into a huge ordeal. We had depositions for the trial that was coming up because I was involved in a lawsuit with the state of Texas over the gun rights in my arrest. They said, oh, you weren't trespassed from the property. You could have come back in an hour. We just wanted you out of there with the plastic gun. You weren't trespassed for a year and all this other bullshit. And one of the things was that jaywalking or anything like that, they can pull your CHL. But once they're ordered by a judge, they have to give it back to you. So I ordered there are 3 states that I ordered a CHL from, and 2 of the states had contacted me and said that they weren't going to issue me a concealed handgun license. The state that I currently have a concealed handgun license actually called me and said, we need to discuss this. We were called by the state of Texas, Department of Public Safety, and we're told not to issue you a CHL, concealed handgun license. We need to know why. And so I told them the whole story. And she said, well, fuck that. We're shipping yours out tomorrow. I was like, no problem. So I will never pay the state that I live in for the right to carry a gun, especially once they arrested me. So I'll never give Texas a dime for carrying a gun. Period. Fucking period. And let alone constitutional carry. It's a store thing for people out of Texas. Some stores say you have to have a license to carry. Some don't give a shit. Well, when I went to buy the pistol that I currently have, the guy ran it through the machine and it got kicked back. Call this number, da 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 da. And he's like, wow, this has never happened before. And he's like, I have to call it in because they didn't verify it. So I was like, no problem, go for it. I wasn't trying, because if you had a Texas CHL, you go in, you fill out the paperwork, you grab the gun, leave, and they do the paperwork later. You're already pre-checked out because you have a CHL. Well, the ATF that was doing the background check was asking a bunch of questions, and I said, just give me the phone and I'll talk to the fucking guy. Does he appear mentally stable? How many rounds is he buying? Why does he need this gun? Da 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 da, right? And finally I said, tell them right now, either they approve it or they don't approve it, and we want a verification number. And of course, the guy said, look, he's getting pretty pissed off. he needs to either be approved or not approved, and I, of course, need the number, and I will share it with him. They approved it right away. Here's the number, da 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 da. And the guy said, fax me the approval number, and right now, and while we're on the phone line, and sure as shit, the form that they get back saying you're a form, that the gun store keeps, they did it. So I thought, that was kind of pissy, but a couple of months after that, when everything was all said and done, and this is over the course of 4 or 5 years, actually no longer than that because the black powder shit. But after I got the gun, I thought, okay, the ATF's doing their own thing. They don't like the fact that I didn't have a Texas CHL and I live in Texas. Fuck all the bullshit in the legal system. I'm going to win that shit anyhow. It's on appeal. No felonies. Judge didn't say anything about firearms. I'm 100% legal to carry a gun. A friend of mine called me and said, hey, we're over at this chicken place, and I'm thinking about doing a protest. Bring your rifle and bring a sign, and we'll stand on the street corner after we're done eating. I'll hang around because they evidently took separate cars. And we'll do a 2-man protest, holding up signs, holding up signs, and everything will be fine. And from what I remember, it was a blue Toyota, because I'm out there smoking a cigarette waiting for him and his family to finish eating dinner. And I'm sitting there smoking a cigarette, and I had a big white cargo van at the time. In my passenger door, I always kept maps because before GPS, we all had the maps and everything, and I always kept a 3-ring binder in there with the paperwork. And it was just weird. This guy pulled up, already had the window down, and said, "Hey, you wanna buy some grenades?" Yeah, that was top on my priority list today. So I thought he was joking or he knew me somehow, whatever. Because he either said Joseph or Mr. Walker, I'm not sure. Oh, shit. So I look over and I said, no, not interested. And there was a wooden/metal crate. It was a wooden crate, but it had metal fixtures and shit on it. He pulls the towel off, opens the top of the crate, and there's tubes in there, and there's grenades stacked up on top of each other. And from the markings on it, and plus it said made in Israel on the bottom of the crate, they were Israeli grenades. And he said they're $40 a piece. And I said, of course, I told you I wasn't interested. What fucking party? Get the fuck out of here. Don't you understand? I don't want any fucking grenades, piss off. And he didn't really get the picture until I, let's just say things got heated and pistols were involved. But he got the bright idea to get the fuck out of there. And my friend's watching me from the window of the restaurant. I was unaware that he could see me. As the car pulls forward, I'm dyslexic as a motherfucker, so I'm sitting there repeating the license plate number over and over and over in my head till I can get my binder out and write the fucking number down. So I had a friend. We always used to eat at a restaurant on Wednesday. I think that's when Survivor comes on, or Thursday. It was enchilada day, and I would always order a full thing of enchiladas and eat the remainder while watching Survivor, Wednesday or Thursday night or something. And I said, you know what? I said, I know you're connected. You said if I ever run into any problems that if I ever need any information or any help, I said I had this weird situation the other day, and I took a picture of the paper on my phone, and I gave him the license plate. I said I need to know who owns this car, and he says why. And I told him the story I just fucking told you. Well, we only met at the restaurant like basically once a month, on like the third day of the week or whatever, the third week. And he says, he just sends me a text. Hey, meet me at the restaurant. Leave your cell phone at the house. Da 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 da. You know, right? And he says, I don't know what the fuck you're in for, but you're red flagged. You've got all this shit going on. You pop up in the system fucking everywhere. The guy that I got the information from, he can no longer help you. And I said, what's the issue? And he said, well, when the police or the ATF or the FBI sees a vehicle or something like that, they use those vehicles in surveillance or undercover work. And I said, okay. He says the person that had the car was using the car from an impound lot from the ATF in Tomball, Texas. He said the guy who was trying to sell you the grenades was an undercover ATF officer out of Tomball. The car was confiscated out of Tomball. He said that's all we showed up. When the car showed up, it showed up as impound lot from ATF investigation in Tomball, Texas. So, yeah, I'm doing nothing wrong. I'm on the grid because of shit I bought legally. When I went to go buy a handgun, I had issues. The guy at the store, very popular store, said he has never had anybody say call this number and been asked questions and shit, right? And the guy's like, yeah, he's here with his mother, and you know they're looking around the store and they're waiting for the gun and da 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 da. That situation, he says, never happened. A couple of years later, we go back to the same shop. I think mom to get her license to carry because she had to renew or some shit. And he said, and he recognized me right off the bat. Gave me a free box of 9mm hollow points because I was like, dude, do you have any? Because shit was getting rare. And he's like, no, here, take these. We just got a shipment in on the house. And he says, he actually went back and hit a button on the surveillance video that it takes 2 people to delete so that his boss can watch all the interactions of what happened with me that day. And of course, I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's probably smart. You know, if you get somebody crazy in the store, yeah, you hit a button and it automatically recorded the 3 hours before you hit the button, and it sends the next, you know, the previous 3 hours and the next 3 hours to an external hard drive that it takes 2 people to delete. He said that his boss didn't believe him that anything had happened out of the ordinary until they went back to look at the surveillance video of the whole conversation. And the only time span from the original recording and the 6-hour recording for historical or documented cases, the only time span of the surveillance video that was deleted was from the time before my car showed up, or my mother's car, before the car pulled into the parking lot and when the car left. And the button that they push for surveillance, because, you know, gangsters doing straw purchases and shit, absolutely every single one of them were on the external hard drive that the computer system sends to it, except for the time that I was in the store. They were watching me that fucking closely that they had gone into their computer system and deleted the whole thing. It never happened. And I was like, well, I hope you're a cousin or a brother or somebody from the store. He's like, no, we're close friends. He's like, I was out of a job and the guy hired me, and he says, hell, I'm making more money here than I was at my previous job. and he's known me my entire life, so he knows it didn't happen. Plus, I showed him the paperwork. You know, the next thing that they did is when they got the phone logs in, the phone company said that they had technical issues, and there was a 4 or 5 days worth of phone logs that they couldn't put in. It was the 2 days before the day I was there, because I called a couple of days before about if they had the particular firearm. So it was the 2 days before, the day of, and 2 days after. It showed absolutely no records for the phone company for the gun store. And he's like, yeah, something's weird here. So that's the whole fucking ATF bullshit. That's how we're going to fix the system from the outside in. That's how we're going to have bureaucrats in the what do they call it? Shadow government held accountable when we have absolutely no fucking power whatsoever. So yeah, that's fuck Brandon Herrera and the ATF, and the whole fact that, oh, you know, I manufacture firearms and I've never had problems and da da da. Be as pro fucking law enforcement as you want to be until it, you know, back to blue until it happens to you with fucking Donut Operator and the Demolition Ranch and all those guys. But the moment that they need to make an example out of somebody, they will put their full weight behind. And imagine going through your entire life through a microscope just waiting for an opportunity to do something illegal so that they can catch you on. And if you don't think that they're watching those people at that level, look what happened to that Vickers fucking idiot. They let him run guns on the market for years before finally bringing him down. So you don't fix a failed bureaucracy of unelected bureaucrats that are writing their own laws and interpreting different words written into the laws. You don't work with that. You don't change it. You don't improve on it. You fucking get rid of them. The only way to fix the ATF is to get rid of it. Because here's a citizen that has absolutely never committed a crime. I should edit that. Never been convicted of a crime, because everybody does something. I've never been found guilty of a crime that I haven't won off of an appeal that's being scrutinized as if I'm a fucking hardcore gangster, as if I'm doing something wrong. You can't fix that. They can put their full weight and effort behind somebody that's so insignificant as I, and micromanage what I buy online, what I use my credit card for, where I shop, and what I'm buying. But they can't go out and get the hardcore gangsters and all that other bullshit. You can't fix that. You need to completely do away with it. And anybody that backs the ATF isn't part of the problem. They're isn't part of the solution. They're part of the problem.